The world above called it the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, a swirling, soupy gyre of human refuse. To Lyra, it was simply the Blight. Here, in the deep blue heart of her home, the sunlight filtered through not clear water, but a hazy film of plastic. The coral reefs, once vibrant cities of life, were now skeletal structures draped in ghostly fishing nets. Lyra swam with purpose, her tail of iridescent silver scales cutting through the murk. In one hand she carried a woven satchel of kelp, strong and resilient. In the other, a sharpened piece of black obsidian, a tool gifted to her by a volcanic spirit. Her long, sea-green hair floated around her like a halo, and her eyes, the colour of stormy seawater, scanned the devastation with a familiar ache. Today's task was a monstrous tangle of nylon net, a ghost net that had drifted for decades, silently trapping and killing. Dozens of her kind, the myrrh of the deep current, were already at work. They didn't speak with words, but with a complex language of clicks, whistles, and the shimmering patterns of light that danced across their bioluminescent skin. A young merman, Kyle, was carefully using his obsidian blade to saw a sea turtle free from the net's grasp. The turtle, exhausted and terrified, finally kicked its flippers and shot away into the safer gloom. Kyle flashed a pattern of soft blue light across his shoulders, relief and success. Lyra joined him, and they worked in tandem. Their strong fingers, webbed and nimble, untwisted the tough cords. They sliced through sections too tangled to salvage. Every severed piece was stuffed into their kelp satchels. Some of the older mermaids, their scales bearing the scars of 1,000 such cleanups, used their powerful tails to create small vortices, swirling the lighter plastic debris like snowflakes into concentrated piles for easier collection. This was their eternal dance, their sacred duty. The humans, with their away, had forgotten that the ocean was not a void. It was a home. Lyra's satchel grew heavy with synthetic fibres, bottle caps, and shreds of plastic bags that mimicked the jellyfish her people fed on. The work was grim, but there were moments of breathtaking beauty. A school of sapphire blue fish, seeing the cleared area, would dart in, reclaiming their territory. An ancient grouper, its face like a wise old rock, would nudge a sunken glass bottle towards a collector in a gesture of gratitude. Their work wasn't confined to the open water. Lyra and Kyle often ventured into the coral canyons, where plastic debris snagged on the fragile branches like poisonous fruit. They used delicate brushes made from whale baleen to dust microplastics from the polyps, and their haunting ultrasonic songs vibrated through the water, encouraging the coral to heal, to remember its colour. One day, they discovered something new. Not trash, but a tool. A strange, silent drone, its propellers still, had settled on a bed of seagrass. Attached to it was a waterproof casing with a blinking green light. The myrrh gathered around it, wary. Tools from the world above had always meant danger. Sharp hooks, suffocating nets, roaring engines. But Lyra, ever curious, swam closer. She placed her palm on the cool metal. The green light blinked faster. She sensed no malice in the object, only observation. A strange idea, born of desperation and hope, began to form in her mind. That night, under the moon whose light pierced the surface in shimmering columns, the myrrh held a council. Lyra communicated her idea through a dazzling display of light and a series of urgent clicks. "We show them," she proposed. "We show the air breathers that their away is our here." The elders were sceptical. The world above was deaf to their songs. But Lyra was insistent. They began to collect not just the trash, but specific items. They gathered the ghost nets, and with incredible patience and skill, wove them into a vast, haunting tapestry depicting a healthy, thriving reef. They collected the colourful plastic bottles and arranged them in intricate, beautiful mosaics on the sandy floors of shallow bays, visible from the surface. And they used the drone. They carefully piled the most shocking items, a toothbrush, a child's doll, a car tyre, directly in front of its lens. They swam past it, holding up their treasures turned trash, their expressive faces full of sorrow and silent plea. Weeks passed. Then, a change began to ripple down from the surface. Fewer plastic bags drifted down like malevolent jellyfish. The ghost nets became less frequent. One morning, a new kind of vessel arrived. It was quiet, and from its belly, humans in strange suits descended not to take, but to help. They brought massive nets of their own, not to catch fish, but to haul away the immense collections the Mer had gathered. Lyra and her pod watched from a safe distance, hidden in the blue gloom. One of the divers, a young woman, found one of their bottle-cap mosaics, a perfect giant starfish. She stopped, hovering in the water, and simply stared. Then, she reached out and gently touched it, before turning and giving a thumbs up to her partner. It was a small gesture, but it felt like a tide turning. The ocean would never be what it was. The scars were too deep. But as Lyra swam through a newly cleared patch of water, watching a sunbeam illuminate a coral head bursting with new colour, she felt a flicker of something she hadn't felt in a long time. Not just duty, but hope. Their silent, endless work of cleaning the ocean was no longer just a lament. It had become a conversation. And for the first time, it seemed the other side was finally listening. The end. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to like, share and subscribe.